Good morning, everyone, or have a good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Faizan Ali. I'm an associate professor at the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, Moma College of Business, University of South Florida. I welcome all of you for joining me today for this wonderful webinar and a session where we have a very good friend of mine, Dr. Rab Nawaz Lodhi, to talk about qualitative research methods. Now, for today's webinar, we basically will be focusing on qualitative research methods in terms of data collection, not really analysis, because we've already done several videos of about analysis of qualitative data, which is available on this YouTube channel. I received several comments from many of my viewers about really talking regarding qualitative research methods, when to use them, when not to use them. So I once again requested a good friend of mine, Dr. Rab Nawaz Lodhi, to be kind enough and give me some time to talk about qualitative research methods. So before we go further, let me get Dr. Rab Nawaz Lodhi onto the stream, and then I will quickly introduce him. Hello, Dr. Rab Nawaz Lodhi. Welcome to the stream.
Hello, Dr. Fazan. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah.
So you are a regular speaker on my channel, and of course you do a lot of workshops and webinars and things like this. You are pretty famous. However, I'll give you a very quick introduction for those of my viewers or anybody else who's going to watch this video in the future if they do not know you. Dr. Lodi is an associate professor of management, and he is also a chairperson at UE Business School, University of Education in Lahore, Pakistan. He is also a visiting research scholar with us here at the M3 Center in Moma College of Business, University of South Florida. And I'm very happy to say that we are working on several exciting projects. So Dr. Lodi's research expertise is extensive. He has published extensively in really good level journals in business and hospitality services related journals. He is also a higher education commission approved PhD supervisor in Pakistan. So he is supervising currently quite a lot of PhD and master level students. He also has conducted workshops around the world in several different countries regarding different qualitative as well as quantitative research methods, as well as analytical methods and usage of softwares. He also have done several funded projects for different private and public institutions or private and public bodies, including USAID and Howard University USA funded projects. So, Dr. Lodi, obviously, there's a lot more we can talk about you, but I'll let you introduce yourself quickly and then we can get into the session.
So, thank you so much, Dr. Fazan, for introducing me, for inviting me for such a wonderful session with the amazing audience. So, can I start this session? Okay, that's great. Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Lodi, if you can kindly share your slides, then I can put them onto the screen and then we can
Okay,
start.
I need your confirmation. Can you see
Yes,
my
perfect.
screen? Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Thank you so much, respected colleagues, professors, and the research community from all around the world. I formally welcome to all. Thank you all for being here for this such a wonderful session on qualitative research methods. So today we are going to discuss different data collection methods and particularly the different qualitative research designs like narrative, phenomenology, grounded theory, ethnography, case study, and participatory action research. So, audience, before going for the qualitative research design, I would like to discuss the qualitative data collection methods. So, the first data collection method we use observation in qualitative research. So observation is a very famous data collection method. So in the human body, the most beautiful part of the human body is your face. And on your face, the most beautiful thing or the organ in the face is your eyes. So eyes depict a lot of things, but similarly, on the same way, we use eyes for observing the surroundings. So eyes is the eyes, your eyes in the body. Both eyes are the method method or the tool or the instrument for the collection of data from the surroundings. So through the observation, we collect the data, and particularly if we talk about qualitative research methods, uh, normally we use qualitative research method in the field of social sciences. So we go in the fields. We do not go in the labs. We go in the fields and we observe the surroundings, and whatever we observe, we need to write the things on the notes, on the notebook. So that particular notebook will become the field note. So field note is a very famous, instrument or the source. We collect the data through the observation, and we put all the things whatever we observe in the surroundings, or maybe informally we conduct such, sometime we conduct interviews informally. So the information which is coming from the interviews, informal interviews, we put on the field notes. So field note is a very famous method, or the instrument we use for the in the qualitative research. So we can put the field note in uh, different softwares which are used for the data analysis, like the Atlas TI, like MaxQDA, like NVivo software. So we can put field notes in the software, and we can analyze the data which we have collected through the observation. So observation is a very famous data collection method. And the second data collection method we are going to discuss, which is focus group discussion. So in the focus group discussion, we sit together, and we declare one person as the moderator. So the other people contribute uh, in the focus group discussion, because we focus to find the solution of a particular problem. So for example, if one person is the moderator, so that particular person will be responsible for asking the question and for probing the respondents, and for making them on one page. So in this way we collect the data, particularly in qualitative research. So for example, if we have more people, one, two, three, 4, and 5. So in this focus group discussion, there are 6 people, and but one is the moderator. Other people are the participants. So the moderator is asking the question, and um, um, also putting them on the same page. So if some irrelevant discussion, if any person in the participant they starts the irrelevant discussion, it is the responsibility of the moderator to probe them, and to give the direction that these are the questions we need to discuss in our focus group discussion. So in this way, the focus group discussion will be more focused on a particular solution of a particular problem. So I would like to show you the practical video of the focus group discussion, and this is the focus group discussion. I'm just going to play this video, and in this video you will see that there are different people who are discussing, but one lady is the moderator. So here in this focus group discussion, you can see that this lady is the moderator, while other people are contributing.
Dr. Lodhi, is there any audio to this video you are playing right now?
Yes, Dr. Fazan, I think you are unable to listen the voice of this video,
Yes.
right? Okay, no
Yes.
problem. So this is the reason that I put the tick mark on the people who are talking in this focus group discussion. So in this focus group discussion, everybody is contributing. So the beauty of the focus group discussion is that when one person stops the discussion, the other person starts from the next point, from where the first person stops the discussion. So everybody is contributing something new. So this is the advantage of focus group discussion over the one-to-one interview. So this is a very wonderful technique we use in qualitative research, and the researcher apply focus group discussion. But sometimes it is very costly method, and for example, if you want to collect the data from some executives of the hotels or maybe from the industry, you need to invite them in on a lunch or on a dinner in a particular hotel to get them, on the same place, and then you can record their video, you can conduct your focus group discussion, because people are very busy nowadays, so it is very difficult. And sometimes it is very easy if you are collecting the data from only one organization. So all the focus group if all the focus group participants are from only one organization, then there is no problem. You can go there, you can call them in a one room, and sitting on a round table, maybe a round table or maybe a different type of table, you can sit together and you can conduct the focus group discussion without spending a single penny. So it depends upon the nature of the study. But now, thanks to the online system, that through the Zoom meetings, through the Microsoft Teams meeting, or through the other platform like Google Meet, so you can invite the people online uh, to record the focus group discussion. So this is more easier way, even though if the people are from different countries, the participants are from different countries, you can send them a link to join the meeting, and they can come to online to join the focus group discussion meeting. So in this way you can record their discussion, and through the automatic transcriber you can automatically transcribe their discussion and convert the audio recorded text data into the textual format. So then, after getting the transcription of the focus group discussion, then you can apply a lot of analysis, like the sentiment analysis, like the thematic analysis, like the content analysis, or maybe you apply the grounded theory for the open coding, or the axial, or for going the selective coding on the qualitative data. So focus group discussion nowadays, it is more easier, particularly when you get help from the electronic gadgets, or through the online meetings. So now we are going to discuss the next data collection method, which is the document review. This is a very famous, and we can explore a lot of contents from the document. So document, there are different types of document. Document mean the books. You can conduct qualitative research on different books, maybe the different books of a single author. So in Pakistan, particularly in Asia, Iqbal is a very famous poet. So people are very, people living here in Pakistan, they are very inspired with the contribution of Dr. Muhammad Iqbal. So if somebody conduct the research on the books of Iqbal, so that could be the document review. Or maybe because my area of interest is business and management, so sometime in our field, in our area of interest, in our area, people collect the data from the annual reports of the companies. So there are different companies operating in Pakistan, or maybe you can collect the data in your own country. So in Pakistan, the corporate companies, the sector, they send their annual reports to the Securities Exchange Commission of Pakistan, SECP. So SECP is the regulatory body, but on the same time, the companies also display or publish their annual reports online on their websites. So being a researcher, you can download the annual reports of the companies from their websites, and you can apply the document review analysis on their annual reports. So this is also very simple, because I remember, I think 10 years back, we were thinking about a research on CSR disclosure. So CSR activities are very famous in all over the world. So the company, the corporate sector, they are not getting the money from the customer by selling their product, but also they are working for the well-being of their customers or the community from where they are operating their businesses by doing the CSR practices. So when the companies or the corporate sector do the CSR practices, they also display the photographs in the annual reports. And this activity is called CSR disclosure. So CSR disclosure means companies disclose the CSR practices in the annual reports. So being a qualitative researcher, we can conduct the document review on the annual reports of the companies, and in this way we can explore a lot of information regarding the CSR disclosure or CSR activities of the corporate sector in particularly in Pakistan or in any other country. So document review is a very famous type of uh, source or the method we apply in qualitative research. And I would like to give you the another example. So we are Muslim, and there are different religions in the world. But if I talk about the Muslim, so Quran is very authentic document for the Muslims. So people can also conduct the research on Quran. So Quran is the authentic document, and they can analyze the different contents, the word repetitions, or the different types of the statements by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran Pak, Quran Majid. So we can conduct such kind of analysis. So this is also the source of data, particularly in qualitative research, to dig out the different hidden reality from the books. So the next data collection method I'm going to discuss, which is the interview. Interview is a very famous data collection method, and we have the video available on the Research Beast channel of Dr. Faizan Ali. So we recorded, I think, 1 year back. So my video on how to conduct the qualitative interview, that particular video is available. You can watch the video on the same channel of Dr. Faizan Ali. So in which we explain the different types of interviews, like the structured interviews, semi-structured interview, unstructured interview. We also demonstrated practically by inviting two people. One is from Cyprus and one is from Pakistan. So they practically gave the demonstration what is the effective interview and what is the ineffective interview by demonstrating the interview, the questions and answers. So interview is a very famous data collection method in qualitative research. I'm going to show you the interview, the example of the interview. So this is the interview. I'm going to show you R1, and we are asking the question, and that particular person is giving the answer. So this is the interview, and I can show you another example of interview. This is another interview in which you can see the interviewer and interviewee both in the same interview file. So the interviewer is asking the question and interview is giving the answers. So people use interviews for the collection of data. So this is very famous data collection method, and sometimes we go for the snowball sampling in the interview. For example, if you are purposefully collecting the data on a particular topic or on a very different area, so you can come to a particular person who is involved in this particular field. You can conduct the interview, and after conducting the interview you can ask that particular person that please recommend another similar characteristics, the person who has the similar characteristics, so that particular person can recommend you the another person, so you can go to the next person for conducting the interview and collecting the same type of information by asking the same questions, but you will have definitely the different answers, because this is the beauty of the interview. If we ask the question, the same question from different people, we will get the different responses. So snowball sampling is a very famous method, particularly if you are collecting the data on some network. Some people are addicted, and you can ask that please tell me about the next addict person. So they can give the address or the information, or also the reference. So you can give the reference that that particular person has sent me to you for the collection of data through the interview. So then the other person will welcome you and give the interview. So this is another interview. So in this interview, you can see that both the interviewer and interviewee are in the same video. So I can show you another. So in this video, the old lady is giving the interview to the doctor. So the doctor is the interviewer, while the old lady is the interviewee. You can also conduct the interview through the document. So you can share the document like this document, and some set of set of questions. So here you can share the question, and you can share the document to the participants, and the participant, instead of giving the answers orally, the participant can write the answers. So it is the similar type of, you if you're a teacher, you ask the question, subjective type question, in the examination to the students, and you ask the questions from the students, and student give the written answer against your open-ended questions. So in this way you can give the questions, and through the set of questions you can take the written answers from the people. So this is also very good method, but sometimes people get demotivated because if you ask the question, and if nobody is supervising them, nobody is watching them, then maybe they will give the very short answer, maybe in one sentence or maybe one line. That would not be the much information for digging out the actual meaning or actual reality for your purpose. So it has its own disadvantages, but sometimes if they do not allow to record the video or record the audio, then you can give them the questions, open-ended question on a page, one page or two page. Then you can get their responses in the shape of different answers, subjective answers. So there is another method which is the audio recorded interview. So in this audio, this is only the audio, and no video is there, so you can collect the data through the audio recorded interview. So sometimes people do not allow you to record their videos. uh, Definitely you need to get their permission, their consent before recording their videos. And sometimes, particularly in Asian regions, particularly in maybe in India, maybe in Bangladesh, maybe in Pakistan, or maybe in some other countries, Asian countries. So maybe some female reluctant to give the interview on camera. So they do not share their videos, they do not share their pictures. So because of their cultural values. So the thing is that in this way you can record their voice instead of recording their videos. So the video audio recorded interviews are very famous. So there are different methods to record the video, audio, or information through the document. So interview has different mode and different types. So interviews are very famous data collection methods, and normally people conduct interviews for the collection of qualitative data. Now, I would like to discuss the blogs. So, blogs or web blogs are very famous because sometime on a current issue, people write different blogs. They can link together, they can share, they can rant, they can ramble, they can share, they can link, and they can further share the information with the community, and the community read the blogs. They can write the different comments, they can give the feedback. So the blogs are very important source of data, qualitative data, in the form of statements, in the form of passages. So you can download the different types of blogs, and you can apply the content analysis or thematic analysis or discourse analysis on the textual information. Because nowadays, you people know about the war between Russia and Ukraine. So there are a lot of blogs which are available, positive or negative blogs. Some people talk very positively, some people talk very negatively, and you can also find some mixed comments, mixed blogs available, or mixed covering both the positive and negative aspect of this war. So you can download and you can apply different types of analysis on the blogs. So this is also very famous in the field of qualitative research. Then we can talk about the images of pictures. So picture has its own worth. So if you see the picture, you can find a lot of themes. You can find a lot of meanings from the picture, and you can write the meanings on the document. You can apply the discourse analysis. You can apply the content analysis on the pictures. You can apply the thematic analysis on the pictures. So pictures are very famous source in the field of qualitative data, qualitative research. And if we talk about hospitality and tourism, so the tourists capture a lot of pictures in different, historical places, or in different hilly areas, or in different, hotels, in different markets they visit during their journey. So after getting back from that particular area, they share a lot of pictures on social medias. They also share a lot of pictures with their family, friends. So we can also conduct the thematic analysis on the picture. So the researcher or the tourist, if the researcher also go for the different types of visits, or maybe for tourism activities. So the researcher himself or herself can collect the data through the images of the community, images of the villages, images of their lifestyle, their living, their civilization, their communication, their economy, their languages, their behavior. So maybe that particular person can come with a lot of pictures, and in this way, he or she will be able to apply different types of analysis on those pictures. So pictures or images are very famous in qualitative research. So similarly, emails are very famous. We can apply the content analysis on the emails. So automatically through the Outlook, we can import all the emails in NVivo software, in Atlas TI software. So Miner QDA is also a very famous data analytical tool, and I have also seen the Outlook option in that particular software. So we can import the email data in the software. If particularly you are applying the organizational ethnography. So if you're applying organizational ethnography, you need to collect the data of the organization. So through the different email addresses, you can download all the information from the Outlook and put in the NVivo software, or in any other kind of software which is used for the qualitative data analysis. So you can put the email data and you can apply different types of analysis. So diaries are also very famous source, particularly in narrative research. So people write different diaries, different chronological events, step by step, and periodically they write different events, and the researcher collect the diaries and apply different types of analysis on the diaries. This is also very famous in qualitative research. So minutes of the meetings. So this is also another source. We can apply different types of analysis on the minutes of the meeting, particularly if you are conducting the organizational ethnographical research. So minutes of the meeting is very famous. So I recently completed a special issue on qualitative research in hospitality and tourism management. It was published in JHTT, Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology. SSCI, its impact factor is 4.260, and this special issue is available. And I would like to share that one of the paper we published, the paper is on organizational ethnography, published by Sandra Ponting. So Sandra Ponting is a very famous researcher. Dr. Faizan Ali knows her. So Sandra Ponting published the research paper, but this particular research paper is based on the 3 years study. So organizational ethnography is not very easy. It is the longitudinal study, and maybe you need to spend more than 1 year in a particular hotel or in a particular organization. You need to spend your time. You need to collect the information, data through the observation, through the documents, through the minutes of the meeting, through the emails. So maybe you need to conduct some focus group discussion. You need to conduct some interviews, and after a lot of efforts, then you will come with the new theory through the organizational ethnography. So minutes of the meeting, they are also very famous, particularly while you are conducting the organizational ethnographic research. So historical evidences are very famous. Sometimes you visit different historical places, you capture different photographs, their living standards in the past, or maybe their economic system, their town planning, and other aspects of their living. So these are some historical evidences. You can collect the data through the pictures, through the audios or videos, or maybe you collect the data through the documentary analysis. Particularly in Pakistan, there are some famous historical places like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. So Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, they have more than 5,000 back history, and people go there and they collect. Particularly the archaeologists, they go there, they collect the data through the different historical evidences, and they relate them in the books of the history. So they come with the new arguments. So this is very famous, particularly in the field of archaeology. So nowadays websites are a big source of data. So we collect the data through the websites. So if one of my students, she was doing the research on the websites of the government. Government is in Pakistan. Government is promoting hospitality and tourism, and my student was working on the websites. She conducted the content analysis on the websites by the government of Pakistan to promote the tourist activities in Pakistan. So she conducted the content analysis on the websites, and the purpose of that particular study was to identify the different gaps on the websites, so the lacking areas or the gaps or the problems. So in this way, we need to give the suggestion to the government to improve their websites to attract more tourists in Pakistan to visit more places. So she conducted the content analysis on the different pictures on the websites by the government, and the different textual information. So she conducted the analysis on the both pictures and on the textual information available on the website. So websites are very famous and the big source of data, qualitative data nowadays. So nowadays people are also collecting the data from the Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. So people can share some picture or post or some questions, and they can get a lot of answers behind or below that particular post. So in this way you can collect a lot of information, lot of data, and in the end you can import the data from the social media in your software for the analysis purposes. So this is also very famous, and we can conduct social media analysis, or we can also collect the data from the social media. Particularly nowadays, netnography is very famous. Netnography. So netnography is the combination of net, mean internet, and ethnography. So ethnography, we are going to discuss ethnography in our next phase. So ethno and netno. So it is the combination of both ethnography and netnography. So in the netnography, the researcher analyzed the particular groups available on online, like on WhatsApp, like on Facebook, like on LinkedIn. The researcher extract a lot of discussion or the information or the pictures or the videos shared in that particular group, and the researcher apply the different types of analysis So that kind of research is the ethnographical research. And Robert Cousinet developed this particular technique, and he wrote a book in 1995. So his video is available on internet, so you can watch the video of Robert Cousinet, which is available on YouTube. So he explained each and everything about how to conduct the ethnography, what is the purpose, what are the different benefits of applying the ethnographical technique. So audience, thank you so much. This is regarding relating to the qualitative data collection methods and the sources. Now we would like to discuss the different qualitative research designs. So there are six different designs, but today we are going to discuss five. So the rest of the one is relating to the qualitative survey method. So survey is just like you conduct the survey through the questionnaire, but in qualitative research, you conduct the survey through the interviews. So we are going to discuss all these five methods one by one. These are qualitative research design. And the first design is narrative research. In narrative research, uh, for example, this is the young lady, and this one is the old lady. So the young lady write a book on the old lady, and the old lady tell about each and everything, um, about the life, about the important events, about the philosophy of life, about the some tragedies, about some good events, some bad events, some history, or detail about the family, detail about the siblings, detail about the kids, detail about the business, detail about the different activities of life. So that particular young lady will write a book on that particular old lady. So in this way, and this kind of research is known the narrative research design. So in narrative research design, narrative or narration means storytelling. So in this way, we the particular personality tell the story of the life, and in this way, the researcher divide the life into different actions or the events or the series of events or action chronological, which are chronologically connected, and then analyze the different types of information. The researcher divide the life of that particular person in different span of time, 0 to 10, and then 10 to 20, so 20 to 30. So in this way, this is the time span, and in this time span, the researcher collect the data when she was under 10, or so all the phases of the life, like the childhood, like the next stages, and till the old age. So all these information, the researcher divide on the timeline, and then analyze the different antecedents and the consequences of different actions or different events or different strategies or the different reactions of that particular lady or that particular personality. In this way, the researcher writes the book on a particular personality. So this kind of research is conducted. This is very simple. We need to select the subject. Subject mean the people or their particular areas of expertise, because normally we write the book on some very famous personalities, and so we need to justify, and then we need to collect the data, we need to report the findings, and in the end, the meaning of life is very important. Some people have their own philosophies of life. So being a researcher, we need to address those particular philosophies, and maybe if you're writing a book on a particular leader, so the leader has his or her own philosophy of life. So being a researcher, you need to extract and report that particular philosophy of life. So in this way, the other readers of that particular book will be benefited after reading that particular book, because the philosophy will be transferred from that particular personality to the readers. So the reader will adopt different types of best practices, and they will be benefited after spending 2 or 3 days on a particular book instead of spending whole life. So if some experts are giving you some best models, because they already experienced and they spent the major part of their life, but you are young, and in your coming age, your life, if you need some direction, some guidance, so you can read some biographies or autobiographies of the people, because narrative research has different types like the biography or autobiography or personal experience story. So in biographical research, um, the researcher writes the book on a particular personalities. For example, this is a researcher, so I give the R to the researcher, R for researcher, but P for personality. So researcher is going to write a book. This is the book, and the researcher is writing a book on a particular personality. So this would be the personality. So this kind of research is called biography. So in biography, the other person writes the book on a particular person. But in case of autobiography, we need to skip the role of the researcher. So actually, the particular personality writes the book on himself or herself own. So for example, my name is Dr. Rabnawaz Lodi, and if I want to write a book on myself, so that would be autobiography. So there is another third type of narrative research, which is the personal experience story. So personal experience story is also kind of narrative research, but in this research, if a particular person spend a lot of time in a particular situation, for example, 30 years, 20 years in a particular situation or in a particular country or in a particular culture. So after getting back from that particular country or culture, we can document the experience of that particular personality in the shape of a book. For example, China has their own, Chinese people have their own culture, their values, their living, their food, and their festivals. So I know a personality who spent 30 years in China, and now he came back to Pakistan, and I met him in a conference. So I was saying that, oh, doctor, so please write a book on your personal experience story. Why? So if somebody wants to go to China, so whatever you experienced in your 30 years life, you can document it in the form of a book. The other people will be benefited after reading your book, because your book will be very famous, because every person who wants to go to the China and wants to save his time, energy, or resources, or maybe he wants to be on a focus direction, and he do not want to deviate from the original objectives of going to the China. So he or she must read the book of your experience. So personal experience stories are very famous in narrative research. So now I would like to discuss another qualitative research method, which is the phenomenological research. Phenomenological research is a very famous type of research. So our focus is not on a person or personality, but our focus is on a particular phenomena, which is Z. For example, this Z is the phenomena, and we ask the different questions. We ask the questions about the phenomena from the different people. For example, these are the four people, and we are asking the questions like, what do you think about, or what is your experience about Z? So A will tell the different story, B will tell the different story, C will tell the different story, or D will tell the different story. Maybe some of their stories will be same, or maybe some portion of their story will be same. So in this kind of research, phenomenological research, our purpose is to understand the phenomena. Because what is the difference between concept or phenomena? If we talk about phenomena, phenomena mean which is difficult to understand, but concept mean which is easy to understand. So if you're going to develop an instrument on a particular phenomena, for example, I have seen the instrument on honeymoon tourism. Honeymoon tourism is the instrument. So this is the new instrument, and people discovered. And I have also seen recently the instrument recently developed by Dr. Fezan Ali. So I think it was on the hospital experience or expectancy experience of the customers. So if I'm not wrong. So Dr. Faizan Ali published a lot of papers on instrument development. So there are a lot of researchers who develop the instrument. So instrument development is not a simple task, because we need to collect the data from the literature, and maybe we need to sometime we need to validate the data collected from the literature to some experts, and maybe we go for the interviews or focus group discussion to validate the items of the instrument. Then we conduct the survey, and after collecting the data from the survey, we apply the exploratory factor analysis, and we need to explore different dimensions, and ultimately the factor reduction. So the irrelevant items will be removed, and then we need to finalize the instrument. So in the second stage, we need to validate the instrument through the survey again, the second survey. So in this way, we collect the data, and maybe we go for the for applying different types of descriptive test. Statistically, we apply different descriptive statistics, or we may go for the inferential statistics, so testing the relationship of some variables, maybe on the dependent side or maybe on independent sides, the instrument newly established. So we can also test the hypothesis, or we can test the relationships between the variables. So I was talking about the phenomena. So if you are going to develop the instrument, so it's mean if nobody has developed the instrument, that particular that particular thing is phenomena. But you are going to establish the instrument. It's mean you are going to convert the phenomena into concept. So because you are going to conceptualize that particular phenomena, and in this way you give the conceptual definition. Conceptual definition mean operationalization of the construct, or operational definition. So in this way you can convert the phenomena into the concept. So this is the journey, starting from the phenomena and ending up on the concept. So if we talk about phenomenological research is the purpose of phenomenological research is to understand the real lived experience. We need to understand the meaning of from the several individuals about their real experience. For example, this is the Z is the phenomena, and we need to think about the different people, what the different people think about that particular phenomena. So we need to understand. So this is the real shared experience, and in phenomenological research, our main focus is on the phenomena. So how we can conduct this phenomenological research? For example, this is the individual cell B, and this is another respondent A, individual cell A. So both A and B are sharing the data, their experience about this particular phenomena, and this is the region shared by B, B, and this is the region shared by A. So there is the overlapping area. So the overlapping area where the A and B are sharing the similar type of stories. So this is very important area, because uh, we are interested to know about their commonalities. So this is the common area. This is the experience shared by A and B. So being a researcher, we need to understand about the commonalities, and also we go for the differences. So the Venn diagram by Aristotle, this is very famous in logic. So Venn diagram, in through the Venn diagram, you can compare different types of people, different types of organization, different types of arguments or the statements. So this is very famous, and we apply particularly for the purpose of comparing the people, or sometime the things. So this is the Venn diagram I would like to share, and I'm going to transparent selection. copy and paste. So, okay, this is the Venn diagram. And in this way, we can compare three different things, or maybe four different things, or maybe five. So I'm going to put four different things. So in this way, this red area is the common area where A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to D. So this is the common area, while the other areas are the different areas. So in this way, we compare the things, we compare the arguments, we compare the statements in phenomenological research. So some of the arguments are similar in nature, but some of the arguments are indifferent in nature. So this is very famous in qualitative research. Audience. Now I would like to talk about the participatory action research. So if we talk about the participatory action research, uh, it is very practical in nature. I would like to show you a diagram. Just look into this particular diagram. I'm joining you back. Okay. So in this diagram, you can see this is the cyclic process, and on the x-axis you can find cycle number one, then cycle number two. You will find, on the x-axis side, but in the x-axis side we need to take the time. So time in cycle number one, time in cycle number two. So on the x-axis we have taken the time, while on the y-axis we are taking the change or maybe the progress. So in the participatory action research, one thing you should keep in mind, action research is conducted to find the practical solution of a practical problem for the action. So this is purely applied in nature. So for example, uh, if a researcher visit a particular company and there is some problem in production, if there is long lead time or the long production time, and the researcher wants to fix that particular problem, then the researcher will conduct a practical research by observing the production system, by taking the interview of the production managers or production team, or maybe the quality assurance team. So, after collecting the qualitative or quantitative data, the researcher will come on the findings that these are some steps which we need to take to improve the lead time, or maybe to reduce the lead time, or maybe to reduce the production time. So, in this way, we can reduce the production time, we can improve our efficiency, production efficiency, we can save our resources, we can reduce our wastage, and we can reduce our consumption of electricity or other types of resources during the production. So particularly action research, the participatory action research or the action research. The purpose of action research is to conduct research for taking the action immediately, for taking the immediate action for the improvement. So this is totally in practical in nature, applied in nature. This is not the basic research. This is purely the applied in nature. So when we conduct the participatory action research, and why we call it participatory, because the reason is that both the researchers and the respondent, they joined hands together to conduct the research activities, because this is the research activities involve both the researchers and the participants in the research projects. So this is the research carried out by the researcher and the participants, and sometime it will change the entity of the participant and the researcher. So maybe the time come when the researcher becomes the participants and the participant become the researcher. So the researcher will give the interview on a position of the participant will take the interview, so just like the researcher. So in this way, both the researchers and the respondents, they conduct the research in to find out some solution of a particular problem. So sometimes this is the community based research. So particularly in COVID-19 time period, a lot of participatory action researches were conducted, and because it is purely the community based research, how to handle the business situation, how to improve the business in the COVID-19 pandemic, or maybe after COVID-19 there are different models. So people are doing the participatory action research to improve their existing practices, foregoing the best practices by conducting the participatory action research. And this particular research is conducted in different cycles, and we need to you know engage or re-engage in a particular situation. This is the step number one. And then we need to define the particular issue. Defining the issue is a very important. Sometimes the researchers uh, problem statement or the issue is the vague, because I have seen, I'm also the examiner of different universities, and I have seen a lot of MPhil or MS thesis, master thesis, where the problem statement is not clear. So if your problem or your issue is not clear, then what kind of solution you are going to find? So this is very important. In the beginning, you need to define your clear issue. Then you need to plan your action or intervention. So if you are conducting the experimental research design, so then you need to provide the different steps or interventions in your experiment. So maybe you need to provide different planning of your data collection, data analysis, your research methodology, each and everything. Then this is the time to convert your plans into actions. So this is next stage. So this one is the step number one. Defining the issue is step number two. Planning action or intervention is step number three. Taking the action or intervention, it's mean you are going to convert your your plans into actions. So this is the action stage. And after taking the action, you need to analyze your data, you need to interpret your findings, and ultimately you need to report your findings. So after completing the first step, if you are able to find the solution of a particular problem, then you can report your findings. In case you are unable to find the solution of a particular problem, then you need to go for the second cycle. So this is the second cycle, and in cycle number two, you need to re-engage yourself with the real world setting or with the real world issue. You need to redefine your issue. You need to replan your action or intervention. You need to retake your action or interventions, and you need to reanalyze your data. And after analyzing or interpreting your data, you need to report your findings. And if these findings are the solution of your problem, then you will stop your research. Otherwise, you need to carry on for the next step. You need to apply this third cycle in participatory action research until unless you find the actual reality, actual solution of a particular problem. This is the action research. Now, audience, this is my favorite technique or the favorites uh, method or research design in qualitative research, which is the grounded theory. So grounded theory, nowadays people are working a lot on grounded theory. Sometimes we use this technique as the data analytical technique, grounded theory, because it is totally based on the data. We explore the data, we dig out the data, we find the different relationship, we find the different concepts, we find the different meanings from the ground of the data. So this is totally dig out technique, totally qualitative exploratory technique, and grounded theory is a very famous. So in a grounded theory, we need to go for the open coding, we need to go for the axial coding, we need to recollect the data until unless we reach on the point of saturation. We keep collecting the data, and after reaching on the point of saturation, we stop the data collection method, and then we analyze the data, or we may go for the relationship mapping. So this technique is very famous. So how we can conduct it, I'm going to give you the example. This is the example. And we start the grounded theory bottom to top. So from the bottom level, from the root level, we start the grounded theory. And for example, these are different codes, and these codes are known as the open codes. So this is the open coding, and we need to read the statement. We need to give some sub theme or some codes to the statements. So these are the different you know codes. So this kind of coding is known as the open coding. And after conducting the open coding, we need to categorize the similar types of codes into the broader category. And for example, if this code 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the similar nature of codes, and these 5 codes are relating to surviving. So we are giving the broad category, and we are giving the name of the broad category just like surviving. For example, surviving. So after combining them, we need to combine and conclude a single word. So maybe the single word will be surviving. So in this way, we categorize these 5 codes under surviving, and this categorization is called axial coding. So in the axial coding, we do not only go for categorizing the different types of open codes, but also we link them. So maybe if we put the line starting from surviving and ending on investing, that kind of relationship will also be part of axial coding. So axial coding is not only categorizing some open codes, but also giving the relationship or different maps, so to and linking them maybe through the one-way relationship, or with the two-way relationship, symmetrical relation, one-way or two-way, or association. So in this way, we conduct the axial coding. So after conducting the axial coding, we further categorize, and ultimately we move toward the final code, which is the selective code, which is the social process of leadership theory. So in this way, we categorize, we link, we map, we define the relationship. So in this way, we conduct this kind of grounded theory. But sometime if you start the open coding, and after the open coding you define different types of categories, and now this is the time to link the categories, or maybe link the open code with the other category, or maybe these codes you link with the other codes, other category codes. So in this way, you need to further collect the data. So you go for the further collection of data, maybe through the interviews, maybe through the document review. So this recollection of data is called theoretical sampling. So you again collect the data and go for the theoretical sampling, and until unless you reach on the point of saturation, you do not stop collecting the further data, further information. So again you come with the new data, and you can start again the open coding, or maybe you can link the open codes with the axial code, or maybe some axial code with the axial codes. So in this way, you can give the evidences from the recollection of data, and you can map them, you can give the meaning, you can give the relationship. So in this way, we apply these 3 types of coding. So the first type of coding in grounded theory is open coding, then the axial coding, and then the selective coding. So theoretical sampling, I already explained, data collection until you reach on the point of saturation. Then you conceptualize the meaning from the phenomena. So this is the constant comparison, people, place, event, condition, and this is the continuous, dimensional continua. So this is the continuous study. You recollect the data, and you again go for the open code, you again go for the axial code. So until unless you reach on the point of saturation, you do not stop your study. So this is very wonderful. And if you do not use any kind of software, you can also go for the manual type of coding. So you can find that these statements are written on the sticky notes, and these are all open codes. And if we nature of codes we combine and give the category adaptation of education. So this is the axial code. So in this we can also link the axial code with the axial code with this is the life cycle. So this process will be called as the axial coding, and in the end you need to combine the whole codings into one single concept, which will be the selective codes. So this is very wonderful technique in qualitative research, and people go for the grounded theory. Okay, audience, now this is the time to discuss the case study method. Case study research design is a very famous in qualitative research. So one thing you should keep in your mind that the teaching case study is different from the research case study. Normally, in the case study, you will find the cases unsolved cases, because the teaching case study will give the chance, will raise the question and give the chance to the students to answer that particular question in the case study. So normally, if you're going to teach the case study in the class, you need to get the different feedback. You need to share the scenario, you need to share the case study with the students, and you need to ask different questions. What is the problem in this case study? What are the possible solutions in this case study? So on the basis of different solution, you can also go for the group discussion in the class. You can also go for the debates. You can also go for the presentation of the students in the class. So there are different instructional strategies in the class while you are teaching the case study method in the class. But if we talk about the research case study, it is different from the teaching case study. Why? Because in research case study, being a researcher, it is your obligation not only to raise the question, not only to find the problem, but also give the solution in the same case study. So without providing the solution in the case study, your research case study will not be, the complete case study, or it will not be completed. So until unless you provide the solution, or you provide the findings, or you provide the conclusion in your case study. So a very famous methodologist, his name is Robert K. Yin. So Robert K. Yin defined that case study is the intensive analysis of the individual unit. So individual unit may be a person, maybe a group, or maybe event, or maybe the purpose of case study is stressing the developmental factor in relation to that particular context. So context is very important, because in every case, developmental factors or the scenario or the findings will be different, and you will find the different findings case to case. So in one case, the findings will be different. In another case, the finding will be different. But sometimes some of the findings will have the similar nature, or maybe the overlapping area will be there, but some point of differentiation will be there. So you need to compare and contrast. You need to check the overlapping area, commonalities, and differences in the case study. So case study can be done on a particular person, or maybe on a tribe or group of people, or maybe some historical events in the past. So case study is a very famous method or research design in qualitative research, and people can conduct the case study on a particular company, or maybe a particular uh, department, or maybe a particular community, maybe a particular event in of the past, or maybe a particular person. So or maybe a particular country. So we can also take a country as a case. So case study is a very famous research design in qualitative research. So Robert K. Yin provided the 5 components of the case study research design. So if you're applying the case study research design, you need to provide the research question in your case study, then proposition. Propositions are just like the hypothesis. But one thing you should keep in mind, we develop hypotheses based on the literature. If you find some theories, so on the basis of theoretical evidence, theories, well established theories, or maybe some current controversies on a particular relationship between the variables, or maybe some theoretical evidences, you provide the theoretical evidence, and then after providing the evidences, you need to give the hypothesis statement that on the basis of the above mentioned theoretical evidences, the present study is giving this particular following hypothesis. H1, there is a relationship between A variable and B variable. So how we develop the hypothesis? We develop the hypothesis based on the literature, based on the theory, based on the theoretical evidences. So, but in qualitative research, if there is no evidence in the past in the literature, then by doing the qualitative research based on your qualitative findings, in the end of your qualitative finding, you can develop the proposition, because um, you are not developing the proposition based on the theoretical evidences, but you are developing the propositions based on the empirical evidences in your research, because empirical data you applied, you used in your research study, like you collected the data through the interviews, you collected the data through the focus group discussion, or through the websites, or through the pictures. So after analyzing your empirical data, so you will have different findings. So based on the different findings, you can develop the proposition. So propositions can be developed based on your empirical results. So proposition will be, similar, statements just like hypothesis. But sometime we do not write the similar as we develop the different types of hypothesis, but it is also the kind of assumption. It is also the kind of proposition. We propose the things based on the empirical findings. So it is just like the hypothesis. And now we are going to discuss the unit of analysis. Unit of analysis is very important in case study research. And for example, if you are collecting the data from a particular person, Lodi. So Lodi, myself, for example, Lodi is the neighbor of Faizan Ali. So this is Mr. Ali. And if you are going to collect the data about Lodi, but you are requesting Mr. Ali to fill the questionnaire. So these are some questions, and Ali is giving the response, keeping me in his mind that while filling the question like agree or disagree. So Ali keeps Dr. Lodi in his mind. So because Ali is giving the responses on the questionnaire about Dr. Lodi. So Dr. Lodi will be the unit of analysis. But in case if you are asking the questions from Mr. Ali, and the questions are relating to that particular person, Mr. Ali, and Ali is at the same time Ali is the informant, and Ali is the unit of analysis. In case if the variables are relating to Mr. Ali, so sometime if you are collecting the data from Mr. Ali, but Mr. Ali is working in a company. So the variables are relating to the company, and you are getting the responses from Mr. Ali, but you are asking about that particular company. So the company will be the unit of analysis. So in this way, we need to define in the case study the different types of. So in one study, in one case study, maybe there is a possibility you have more than one unit of analysis. So there are possibilities. So now we are going to discuss the next step in the case study, which is linking data to the proposition. Linking data to the proposition mean when you collect the data, maybe through the focus group discussion, maybe through the interviews, or maybe through the um, documents or pictures. So you will have your data. So you need to provide the findings, and you need to link your data with the proposition, because when you write the interpretation or the findings, and in the end of your finding you need to put P1. P1 mean proposition 1, and you need to give the statement based on the particular data, particular findings. So in this way, you need to link the data to the proposition. And the last thing is criteria for interpreting the finding. This is also very wonderful, because in qualitative research, according to the rhetorical assumption, because there are different philosophical assumption like ontology, like epistemology, like exology, and like rhetorical assumption. According to rhetorical assumption, there is no hard and fast, pattern of interpreting the qualitative findings, because if we talk about the quantitative finding, there are different set patterns of interpreting the quantitative findings. If you are applying the smart PLS software, there are some criteria to interpret the measurement finding from the measurement model, how to interpret the findings of the loading values, what is the threshold, minimum threshold loading value, and you need to provide the value, you need to provide the similar type of wording to interpret your findings, more or less similar type of wording. So if you are going to explain the beta coefficient value, there would be the similar kind of wordings. So similar, values like p value, t value. So these values you need to explain. But if we talk about qualitative research, there is no such type of pattern, such type of standardized method to interpret the finding. So researcher needs to provide the criteria how to interpret the finding in the qualitative research. So Yin provided that if you're applying the qualitative case study research method, you need to provide the criteria how you will interpret the finding. This is also the part of the component of the case study research design. So these are some basic types of case study research design. And sometimes if you have one case, uh, one context and one case, this is very simple case study method, and this is the single case study design. And if you have multiple cases, for example, you have multiple companies, so in this way you can also compare all these companies by applying the Venn diagram. So I already mentioned that how you can apply the Venn diagram. This is the Venn diagram. You are comparing four companies. So in this way, you need to find the common area. So in this way, this is the common area in the four different companies. So in this way, you can compare different types of cases. So this case study type is also very famous, multiple case study, in which you can take more than one hotels, more than one department in the organization, or maybe more than one person. So the other type of case study is the embedded case study research design. So here there are two levels, unit of analysis. So for example, if you are conducting the research on a particular organization company, so imply will be one unit of analysis, and the leaders or the departmental HOD, head of department, will be the second unit of analysis. So the company is the same, case is the same, but there are two different unit of analysis. So this is more complex case study where there are different companies with multiple unit of analysis. So these are some case studies types provided by Yin, Robert K. Yin. So Robert K. Yin is the king of case study research design. Now, audience, this is time to discuss our last uh, qualitative design, which is the ethnographic research design. So our video on ethnography is available on the same YouTube channel, Research Based. You can watch the detailed video, and Dr. Faizan also recorded my video on how to develop the theory through the ethnographic research design. So in ethnographic research design, a researcher go and spend time in a particular community, and he act just like the other people what they are doing. So similar, in the same state of mind, same state of action he needs to take, and uh, go in a particular situation, understand the meaning. And this kind of research is very famous. So the purpose of this research is to analyze the shared pattern of behavior, number one, belief, number two, and language, number three, among the participants. So this is the entire cultural study, and normally we conduct the participants observation. Participants observation mean the researcher becomes the part of that particular observation. So he do not observe the realities or the things in the distance, but he conduct the research by involving himself or herself in that particular community. So we use this particular terminology, immersion. Immersion means sinking until covered completely with the water. So sinking mean you need to go inside into the water and covered completely with the water. This is immersion, concept of immersion. So we use immersion in ethnographical research. Why? Because we go in deep in that particular society and we collect the data. So this is immersion. We need to sink ourselves down in the water until unless we completely cover with the water, we do not come back. So similarly, we go in that particular culture and we need to go inside in that particular culture immersion by applying the immersion strategy. So we need to understand, we need to act just like the participants, they are performing, they are doing their different actions, or they are behaving in different situations. So the researcher needs to behave similar in those kinds of different situations. So the researcher collect the different types of images and their celebrations, their rituals, their events, their norms, their ethics, their values, their traditions, each and everything. And so this is also very sensitive type of study. The reason is that sometimes people do not like that you are going to capture their photographs, you are going to record their videos. So they do not allow you to record their videos. So you need to give uh, different types of benefits to the community. You need to go with different kinds of gifts. You need to give some money to that particular community. Then they will be agree to give you, they will be agree to open their doors. They will be they will be welcoming you. Otherwise sometime the people of these kinds of communities, they become very dangerous. So you need to hire a particular person from that particular community who understand the languages, your language and the language of that particular community, and act like the translator or mediator. So the person should be very trustworthy person. So maybe if that particular person convey the wrong message from your side, and that particular community may go for any kind of hard or bad action against you. So this is very sensitive kind of study, ethnography, but people enjoy conducting this ethnographical study. So they spend their time in the community and explore the new theory, cultural theory. So in particularly in the field of anthropology, the anthropologist conduct the ethnographical research. So sometimes we go for the formal interviews where the time of the interview and the location of the interview or the venue of interview is communicated prior to the interview time to the both researcher and the respondent. So after conducting the interview, we transcribe or we convert the video or audio into the transcript format, transcription. Then we have another method which is the informal interview. So through the informal, where the time and the place and the interview questions are not decided. So these are some informal interviews, and so you conduct the informal interviews, and what the information whatever you collect through the informal interview, you write on the field notes. So participants observation is also another method where the researcher becomes the part of the community and then observe sitting in that particular community instead of maintaining the distance between the community and the researcher, but the researcher practically involved and go inside and observe the things as a part of that particular research. So this is the participant observation, the type of observation. So then the researcher write whatever he observed or whatever she observed from surroundings. They need to write the things on the paper. That paper will become the field notes because you are in the fields. You are not in the labs. So you are conducting the research in the fields, and you write the things on the field notes. Then we have the textual information. We collect the text or the language symbols, and we also go for the documentary analysis. We also capture the photograph, images. So there are a lot of methods we apply in ethnographical research. We also go for the interviews and observations, or maybe the interviews. So this is the field note. So in this way, you can see that whatever the researcher observed, the researcher put the things on the paper. So even the researcher draw the map of, the living area, sitting area, dining area, stairs, each and everything. So how they live, and how they act or react, what are the different, behavior or actions, and the routine life, different types of things the researcher observe and write the things on the paper. So in this way we can also further convert this particular field note, the handwritten field note, into the typed field note. So later on, we can put in some software like NVivo, like MaxQDA or Atlas TI. So we can apply different types of analysis on the field notes. So field notes is a very famous method, or the source or the document, which can be generated through the observation. So audience, this is all about from my side, and thank you so much for attending this wonderful training session. So now this is the time for the question answer. I would like to um, invite again Dr. Fazan Ali to take the questions, and then I'll give the answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rabnawaz Lodhi. Once again, a very, very good and informative session. I must thank you because every time I listen to you, there's so much more to learn. And even though we have talked about qualitative research methods several times on this channel and even outside of this channel in our personal
Thank you,
discussions,
Fazan.
and but it's always such a learning experience. So we have quite a few questions. We can take them quickly, and then we can end up the session. Okay, so the first question is from Damla. She's saying how to avoid self-bias and ensure trustworthiness in analyzing qualitative data.
Okay, this is a very wonderful question, Damla. Basically, in qualitative research, there are a lot of biases because it is uh, more dependent on the researcher experience, knowledge, and a lot of things, personal factors. But you can reduce if you put more people in your research. For example, if you're if you're a master student or if you're a PhD student, and you are working under the supervision of Dr. Faizan. So Dr. Faizan is your supervisor. So you can show your work to the to your supervisor, Dr. Faizan Ali. So in this way, in your research, maybe sometime if you're biased, you can give the second opinion from your supervisor. So it is my recommendation that Danzin provided four different types of triangulation. There are different types of triangulation. One is data triangulation, second one is theoretical triangulation, third one is methodological triangulation, and the fourth one is researcher or investigator triangulation. So in case of investigator triangulation, we involve more than one investigator in a particular study. So Damla, I would like to recommend you to please involve more people by applying the investigator triangulation, because if you have more investigator in your study, then the other people will show you the actual mirror, actual reflection of your biases. The other person can guide you. If you're wrong, the other person give you, because if you are only doing your research study, then there is 100% chances of error. If there are two people, then there would be 50% of the probability of error will be reduced. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lodi. The other question is from G. Cooper. He actually has two parts of the question, so I'll put the other one also on the screen soon. He says about grounded theory. If we apply grounded theory in qualitative research, do we still need to find a particular theory as a foundation to support the analysis? So he says like this: why my supervisor kept asking me what's the theoretical base of my grounded theory study.
Okay, the Cooper's question is very interesting, and he also put, smiley face in the end of the question. So um, maybe your supervisor has something in his mind or in her mind, so you need to clarify from your supervisor. But normally, when you are going to apply the grounded theory, it's mean you are going to develop a new theory. So if you're looking some past theories, maybe you can relate multiple theories, and by combining multiple theories, you can go for another theory. This is possible. But if you're looking for some theories, just like in quantitative research, I don't think so. It would be, you know the clear direction, uh, who is supervising you. So the thing is, you need to clarify these questions from your supervisor. Normally we develop the new theory in grounded theory instead of supporting our claims with the help of different theoretical evidences.
Thank you, Dr. Lodi. The other question is from Indonesia, Muhammad Ashur. He is saying, I want to ask about mixed methods. What is the main consideration or set on conducting mixed method research?
Okay, thank you, Mohammad Ashur. There are different types of mixed methods research design. So please note down the name of the author. He is a very famous research methodologist. His name is John W. Criswell. John W. Criswell. He is the professor in University of Nebraska, and he is also the founding uh, editor in chief of Journal of Mixed Method Research. So he provided different types of mixed method research design in his book, Designing the Quantitative, Qualitative, and Mixed Method Research Design. So in his book, you can find a lot of mixed method research design. For example, the first design is concurrent design, or it is also known as convergent triangulation, in which we conduct both quantitative and qualitative research parallel, and then in the end we combine or compare the things. So this is the first mixed method design, and the second one is exploratory sequential. So in exploratory sequential, in the first stage you conduct the qualitative research to develop the theory, and in the second sequential stage you confirm the theory whatever you have developed in the first stage. In the second stage you apply the quantitative research to confirm or validate that particular theory. So in there is another mixed method research design, which is explanatory sequential. So in the explanatory sequential, in the first phase you conduct quantitative research, and based on the quantitative findings you go for the qualitative research. So this is called explanatory sequential research design. So there are so many other types of mixed method, like the multi-phase research design, like the embedded research design. So you can, for further information, for further reading, you can consult the book of John W. Criswell. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lodi. The next question is from Shiva. She's saying, as we often hear, it is a bit difficult to publish qualitative research as compared to quantitative research. So, what should we do in such a situation that the qualitative study can be accepted easily?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Shiva. Yes, this is very old perception. Nowadays, a lot of editors, they want qualitative papers, good qualitative papers, but they are expecting some value addition in your paper. If you are, in a real sense, you are developing a new theory and you have certain evidences and you apply a systematic method. For example, if you are using the case study method, so if you have successfully applied the case study components by Robert K. Yin, and then you can support your evidences. And if you are applied and Vivo software or other types of data analytical software, systematically you analyze your data and you generated wonderful findings like the tree maps, word clouds, or tag clouds, or different types of different wonderful visualizations. then the acceptability of your paper will be more in some good journals. And Dr. Fazan is the witness because he published a lot of papers uh, which are in qualitative nature in a top tier journals. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lodhi. I also want to add something here very quickly. So many journals actually also struggle with qualitative research as in reviewers. Because, for me, let's say if I'm doing a paper on PLS or SEM, journals normally get a lot of people to review those type of papers, but when it comes to qualitative research, not many reviewers are available. So I must say, if you are following qualitative research and if you are working on qualitative research, also make sure that you review papers using qualitative research methods, because that way more and more qualitative research will be published. Right now, in my own experiences, I've seen that usually if a paper has done qualitative methods, I shared it on my own Facebook and LinkedIn also. I had to deal with a paper that used qualitative methods. I sent it to 19 reviewers, 19. Only one person accepted to review the paper. 17 people did not accept to review a paper. And then the second person suggested another one person to review the paper. So usually this is also another problem with qualitative research, and that's why we don't see it being published that often. So please try to review as much as you can if you also want to publish your papers using qualitative research. Just something to add there, yeah. Um, the other question is from Paras. She is saying, can qualitative study follow a theoretical framework?
Okay, Paris Baloch. No, qualitative normally we apply the conceptual framework instead of theoretical framework. So you conceptualize the things based on observations. So what you observe, you can give some diagram. So that would be the conceptual framework, not a theoretical framework.
All right. And then I'll go to the last question. Okay. The last question is from Kunjan. Kunjan is saying, any example for person-based case study? What would be the difference between case and narrative?
Oh, that's great. So normally in narrative research design, we write a book on a particular personality, very famous personality, who has some philosophical beliefs, assumption, or his or her own philosophy of life. So the purpose of writing a book is to provide the benefits to the other people, other community, other young people, to get the benefit from the philosophy of that particular person. But in a case study based on a single person, maybe if you are a psychiatrist, you are conducting the case study research on a particular patient. A single person is a patient, and you are writing a thesis or writing a research report on that particular person. So that would be the case study. So similarly, some people are very dangerous, and some people are very harmful in society. So the agencies, the intelligence also write some types of cases or case studies. People say cases, these are some cases, very dangerous cases. So they investigate the cases, and they go for the case study research design. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Lodhi. Before we end the session, very quickly, some people keep asking me about these webinars. Obviously, for this particular session, many people thank you for sharing your knowledge and obviously conducting this informative webinar. But there's these type of comments as well, like Momna Azmat, to do more webinars in the future. So to do that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get a notification every time we do something like this, which we do very often. I mean, even today, Dr. Lodhi's session where he was talking about different strategies and different methods, we have actually done detailed webinars on each of these or most of these methods like ethnography, case study, interviews, and things like this. So there's close to 100 videos on this channel, both on qualitative and quantitative methods and other things. So make sure you check those videos out, especially if you are teaching research methods courses or if you are taking a research methods course. it's always a good idea to listen to multiple people about the same method so that your knowledge base can become even better. So, thank you again to you, Dr. Lodi. Thank you to everybody who joined us and who listened to us, who interacted in the session by asking questions or liking questions or saying a lot of things. And I particularly am thankful to those who offered their sincere gratitude and prayers for conducting these sessions, because we all believe in in a higher authority and in fate and destiny. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Lodi. I hope
Thank you
to
so
have
much,
you
Dr.
again.
Fazan. You are a big contributor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course, of course. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.